So as they've done for a few years now, Y1 Hockey have released their Black Friday sticks. This year they've released 3 sticks: Project BDX, Project NCX and Project MRX. Now the BDX is a Lobo which features an all-white face, which is designed after the stick used by Alex Hendricks in Tokyo in the Olympics. The MRX has a new special design where it has a spine running down the back of the stick to increase stiffness, taking inspiration from a cricket bat and also with a reinvented head shape. And the final stick, the NCX, has a special hollow yellow detailing as well as a special shape. All 3 sticks are listed as having a Lobo mould with a maximum bow of 24.5mm, 200mm from the head of the stick. They all have the same advertised balance point of around 39cm from the head of the stick, and they all have the same advertised weight of around 525 grams. The MRX prototype is the only one with a carbon percentage listed, and it's listed as having 100% carbon. When it comes to feel on the ball, I definitely think that the MRX has the stiffest feel. I think you can really feel the ball on the end of the stick moving around, a lot more so than with the other 2. Of the 3, I think the NCX has the softest feel, with the BDX being somewhere in the middle. Now, when it comes to dribbling, I think my personal favourite was probably the MRX, just because of that feel on the ball and the amount of feedback you got while you were dribbling. The BDX felt very similar to an LB90 that I've tried in the past. In terms of dribbling, it had very good response on the ball. With all 3 being Lobo sticks, it was very easy to get onto the ball if you wanted to do 3D skills. I found the face on the NCX to be a little bit too smooth when I was dribbling. Felt like the ball could roll off the bottom or the top of the face while I was using reverse stick skills, which I didn't feel with the other 2. The other 2, I think the angle of the face was slightly better for my personal style of dribbling, and so I kept the ball under better control. In terms of 3D skills, the BDX was my personal favourite. I think I could get under the ball slightly easier, possibly because it's very similar to the LTDX that I use as my main stick at the minute, and so that familiarity really helped out. But I didn't really have any problem with the MRX either. The NCX was a little bit chunkier, so there was a bit more of a thought process when I wanted to use 3D skills to make sure I was in the correct position to get under the ball. So again, in terms of hitting, I think the MRX of the 3 comes out on top. With that spine down the back giving the extra stiffness, you could really get a lot of power transfer onto the ball, and I just felt like I had much more control when I was hitting because there was less flex and I could really hit through the ball consistently. Again, the BDX probably benefits because it is so similar to the stick that I'm currently using, and so the shape I found very familiar, and so I found it much easier to adapt to hitting with that stick and finding bottom and top corners during the trial period. The NCX was an absolute sledgehammer. So it had a lower balance point than the other 2 and a slightly higher weight, and with that the amount of momentum that I was transferring onto the ball was fantastic. So I could get a lot of power when hitting with it, but I just didn't have the same accuracy as I had with the other 2 sticks. So when it came to reverse, this is where the NCX really shone in my time with the stick. So the NCX is very similar, in my opinion, to the GLB range. So it had that very thick reverse edge, which meant that you could just hit so consistently. You could effortlessly play long passes down the pitch without any fear of it lifting off the ground. Because of that thickness, you knew you could consistently hit through the middle of the ball. Because it is quite thick, it can be a little bit difficult to get under the ball when you're wanting to lift a shot, but with a little bit of practice and getting used to it compared to the thickness of the other 2 sticks, it's definitely something you could adapt to. And so some of the reverse stick shots that I was taking with the NCX was fantastic. After the NCX, when hitting on reverse, I would probably go to the MRX just for the same reason as hitting on the open stick side. that spine down the back of the stick gives you additional stiffness. Even though you're hitting on the reverse edge, that stiffness transfers through, and so you just get a much better and more consistent transfer of power onto the ball. And again, the BDX is very similar to what I'm used to, so I felt I was able to adapt to it easiest, but I think of the three it was probably the weakest for the reverse stick hitting. When it comes to flicking, the BDX really stands out because, as I say, it's the stick that feels most familiar just because it's so similar to what I'm using currently. So I think that really helps in confidence in taking on especially flick shots where you know the ball is going to stay glued to the face, you know how it's going to behave. The MRX I found was really good for getting under the ball and really good for accuracy, but I just didn't have that same level of confidence that I had with the BDX. With the NCX, what I found was when you got hold of it, you could really flick the ball well, but if you didn't get hold of it, there was a good chance that it was just going to roll off the stick because of, as I've said, that flat face. I just felt like the other two really held the ball more, maybe cupping it on the face just because of the face angle, meaning that you kept the ball a little bit longer on the stick and so you had that better accuracy. If you got the ball in the right position with the NCX, you could absolutely fire it into the corners, but if it was in slightly the wrong position, it could, as I say, just kind of roll off the end. Okay, so drag flicking. This is kind of something that one of these sticks was especially designed for. So we'll start with the NCX. It's not really what it's designed to do, but it's a Lobo stick. You can get hold of the ball, you can drag flick it into the corner very easily. Very similar to with flicking, if the ball's not in quite the right position, it can slide off the face and reduce accuracy, meaning you'll fire shots wide, usually to the right of the goal. If you're going left, it can easily put the ball down the centre when you're trying to hit the bottom corner. As long as the ball's in the right position, it's a very usable stick for drag flicking. The MRX, again, fantastic stick. The power transfer you can get because of that spine down the back, really strengthening the stick, meaning that there's no flex, there's no loss of power. Everything you put into the stick is going to go straight through to the ball, and you can utilise the bow to get disguised, get whip. It's a fantastic stick. I really liked it. The stick specifically designed to aid drag flicking is the BDX with that white face. So if you don't know, during the Olympics Hendricks used a white face stick because in conversations with Vincent Van Asch, he was told that the white face adds a little bit more disguise, makes it more difficult for the goalkeeper to read the ball. So as part of the testing for this stick, I recruited a goalkeeper. I initially put him through a few rounds of flicking with just a white ball. Then I used only orange and yellow, so no white ball. And then I mixed it up and kept changing all the time. I have also used this stick against a high-level goalkeeping coach. I got him to stand behind the goal and see if he could read it. And the feedback that I got was it does make a slight difference. It gives you an extra half second where the goalkeeper can't read the ball on the stick for the point of release, which at the top level very much could be the difference between a goal and a save. But as you come down the levels, it's really going to have less and less of an effect. So if you're playing right up at the top level, absolutely this is something that could be the difference between scoring 10 a season and scoring 20 a season. When it comes to using different coloured balls though, it does go the other way. It makes it easier for the goalkeeper to read. So if you're using a perfectly white ball, maybe half a second before the goalkeeper can read it. If you're using a non-white ball, that advantage goes to the goalkeeper. It makes it easier for them to pick the ball up on the stick and to read the flick. So if you can consistently use a white ball, this is going to be beneficial to you. If not, then you're not going to really get that benefit. That being said, it's a Lobo stick. It was really good for flicking. Okay, so of the three, I think my favourite was the MRX. That's the one I really want to see come to fruition with Y1 next season. If they make that into the new Lobo mould, or if they come up with a new mould, then I think that's going to be a fantastic stick. I quite like that technology to kind of branch out and go across the range because I really like the added stiffness that it gave. The BDX, the white face, is something that I can see rolling out across the range. It is beneficial at the highest level, maybe not so if you're playing lower down, but I don't think that you really lose that much at the lower levels, and I think at the higher levels they tend to use a white ball, so it's probably beneficial to everyone. The NCX I really liked for reverse hitting, and it has the best finish of these sticks. I'd really like that finish to come through. It's got a kind of three-dimensional camouflage pattern, so as the stick moves around you can see the pattern kind of shifting, and I just think it looks fantastic. So if they can bring that through, that's great. Like I say, my favourite of the three is the MRX, the one with the spine down the back, designed after a cricket bat. So that's my kind of review. It's not kind of in-depth, it's more talking about what I think of each stick, but if you'd like me to do a full in-depth review, leave a comment below and I can go into more detail on each individual stick rather than this kind of overview of the three. If you do like the content that I'm putting out, please like and subscribe. If you want to see more reviews and them done more often and me do a bigger variety of sticks, please head over to Patreon, there's a link in the description, and support me there. That just gives me a little bit more financial freedom to get sticks that maybe people are more interested in seeing the reviews of, and helps me cover the running costs. Any stick that I get through Patreon money will always be given away at the end of the review, whether I like it or love it, it will be given away. So I want to do more stuff through Patreon where I can source the stick myself, I don't have to rely on brands providing them, and that will mean that I will be doing more giveaways, which I always like doing.